have a ton of things I need to be doing. And instead, I was watching Michael Sartori's latest video, which you should go watch. And so, I have shocking news. This is very important news. I think everybody needs to know. I don't have the answers to all of our problems. In fact, I'm not sure I have the answers to any of our problems. Elijah, come on. I'm not a boomer. I'm 47 years old. That doesn't make me a boomer. Although I kind of am a boomer. One of the things that Michael's video really made me think is, I was going to respond to this because of Mark's, say the same thing because of Mark's video, and probably even Michael's first video. If your response to all boomers, every last one of them, come on, people. In order to talk about things, we have to talk in generalizations. You can't have a discussion if every time you say everything, it has to apply to every single member. Or, I almost named this Boomer Lives Matter. My hope for this Jordan Peterson sphere, or whatever you want to call it, for this community, certainly my community, that I am helping to form, is that we get a little bit better at listening to the people who speak in a more wise manner. I just tweeted out Douglas Wilson is The Beggar and the Fountain. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Chris. Douglas Wilson is the most brilliant idiot I've ever encountered. There are some really, really smart people out there. Now, stupid people, I don't bother with. I'll be absolutely, like, if you haven't figured this out, if I think you are stupid, I am rarely going to actually come out and tell you are stupid. Well, I might do that so that everyone else understands the signal, right? If I actually believe you are like mentally challenged, right? Like or you're a child, I'm going to treat you like a child, right? I knew you were going to bring that up, Elijah. I want us to be able to have good discussions. I want us to be able to discuss things as best as we can with good distributed cognition. And we have real things we have to be able to discuss. So when it comes to, for example, Mark Parker, who has done us the gracious favor of being our resident boomer. And so I did not leave that Christian Baxter stream in because I didn't want to talk to Mark. If it had been just me and Mark, I probably would have Grizz, I'm not sure what you're saying. That's the canned response, so we don't have to lie when the givers ask if we like it. I don't know what you're talking about, Grizz. I wasn't planning on having people on, but Grizz is one of the people I will make an exception for. So if you want to, here's the link, Grizz. I want people to, beggars can't be choosers, but they are. That's true. We have to elevate the conversation. We have to be able to have a conversation in group. And like the Baxter stream at the time, I had lots of other things to do. And I knew that I would not be it would not be useful for me to continue in that conversation. Now, it's not about Mark individually, right? Mark comes and he obviously has a very boomer mentality. No, Andre, that's not how you get the link. You get the link when you are one of the voices that I wish to elevate. Most of the people whose voices I wish to elevate have actually access to my account, and they can come on regardless of whether they have the link or not. And as I have always said, Chad the Alcoholic, Sam Tiedemann, and Grizz are, whose I wish he would use his real name, are the three people whose voices I've always elevated, right? And frankly, Mark's voice I want elevated, not because I think he's right or he's representing something that is a worthy opinion, but because he's representing an opinion that needs to be represented, right? Any opinion that is held by a large enough so we can recognize bad actors like a dark arts class. Mark isn't a bad actor. He's a Muppet. 6079, I don't know you. And frankly, I was not planning on streaming very long tonight. I really have to go. But I mean, if Grizz, if you're going to come on, come on. If not, like, if Mark was not representing the opinions that he does, he's making coffee, so I'll have to wait until his coffee is done. Hello, Fuzzy. If he wasn't representing the opinions that he is, we need somebody to represent those opinions. But no, I'm not actually setting up to destroy boomers at all. I think Michael Sartori did a much better job. I mean, he spent a good 2 hours making videos. And Sartori is another speaker who, like, he's somebody I want people to hear. Oh, no. Oh, destroy, like, oh, no, I meant Parker. Mark Lefebvre, well, it's not my Randos United. Randos United is run by Mo Pacheco and Jeff Pace. So I I have resigned from Randos United. You might notice I have not been involved in Randos United. Hey, Romem, you have been coming on to several streams, and I don't know you. You study Torah in a community, not individually. That's the most important thing I have to say. You cannot study Torah by yourself. I mean, if you have nothing else, okay, but ultimately, kaneh lecha chaver, acquire for yourself a companion in Torah. Okay. When Grizz gets his coffee, I want to hear what he has to say here. But other than that, I mean, Mark Lefebvre, I disagree with a lot of the things that he says. I'm not sure I would say he is a voice that I necessarily want to elevate. I definitely want to include him in the discussions because I think he does make an important point. And if your discussions cannot handle Mark Lefebvre, then you're not having he he serves a useful function. And if Mark Lefebvre was not around, there have been times when I have tried to make sure to remember for people to remember and to try to keep Mark in whatever this is, the Jordan Peterson sphere or this little corner or whatever you want to call it. What about the Chumash? I mean, again, I don't know where you are and what your situation is, but if it's just you and your Bible in your room, there's something wrong there. There is something incredibly wrong there. That's not how it works. It can't work that way. And 6079, I have no clue what you're saying. You keep up the psycho posting, you're probably gonna get timed out, if not worse. Kitty. Say hi, Kitty. This will get Grizz to come on. Grizz cannot resist cats. I'm shocked and appalled by the boomer phobia in this corner. Do you have boomer phobia, Grizz?
What?
Do you have boomer phobia?
No.
Me neither.
I need to get better at seducing them. They make excellent shadow cabal. Right?
Maybe.
I mean, don't. According to this documentary that I've been watching that Sartori put out, they seem to be the most capable of filling the role of shadow cabal and fountain of comforting, right?
So part of my hope for Fountain of Comfort is that we get away from the individual mental health therapy model because I don't think that works. And if you are going to have a more communal model of mental health, you have to include all of the generations. And the boomers are definitely going to have to be a part of that, especially because many of them are moving into retirement, and that is the job of somebody in their stage of development as human beings to be wise and pass sanity and cognition from one generation to the next.
Great. Do you know what's actually going on with health and mental health and Walmart? I mean,
Not Walmart. What happened with Walmart?
Walmarts are going to be health centers where you can get your abortions. It's going to be great. No. There's this thing called the Whole Health Initiative. That's no joke. And they use a whole of government approach. And Zuckerberg's money is going into a whole child something, and everything whole is a reworking of the Ken Wilber integral system, as popularized by one Holmes.
And you know how much I love Ken Wilber.
I love he's oh man it brings joy to my heart to go to his channel and like see him and remind myself like all the ideas that we have to deal with come from that guy there in the lady wig. So,
all of the ideas? No.
No, but come on.
He just includes all the stupid ideas. Much like Noah Yuval Harari, he is a mouthpiece for all of the current thing all of the time.
So I made a clip, man.
Yeah.
Of that one from that Sartori thing, and since I thought that based on your title, I thought this whole thing was going to be coverage of your of Sartori's video. Actually, I thought you were just going to cite the facts and logic he used in this masterpiece to do your work. But here it is. Here's the clip I made, and
in the winsome approach that Tim Keller made so popular, and the waning popularity of that movement is now the backlash that we're getting in response. It's also why that group is very anti-Trump, and why the most popular equation that people make to emphasize why Trump is so bad is by comparing him to Hitler, because, of course, Hitler is the ultimate evil. But the interesting thing is that Trump is very much not like Hitler, nor really like his opposite. What he is the ultimate boomer, the most quintessential boomer. And the boomer response against him is really a self-loathing because of their fear of introspection and the choices they make in their action.
And the choices that they made. I like that. I thought Trump is the quintessential boomer was like terribly insightful. Shalom, Chazi.
Gage proving once again why he's on the board of directors of Fountain of Comfort. We think alike in many, many ways. Yes.
And where he says there's a massive opportunity to connect people who live at retirement homes with other generations. And if I'm not mistaken, you can use this little-corner.com to find a place where some lady from my hive mind said she was going to do that. Don't know whatever happened to her. As part of the fraternal regiment embodying narcissistic sociopathy, remembering who said they were like that the actions and the person, the biography of other people is really, really hard.
Are you going to give us saving throws?
If we need them. I'm just shuffling right now.
Mm-hmm.
What was your intent with this title? Boomers Destroyed with Facts and Logic. Let's get on point.
I really wanted people to stop with all the weird apologizing and disclaimering of not all boomers. I didn't mean individually this person.
So there's somebody with a speech pattern that's been talking a lot of the things you've been watching saying this, because I have no idea.
Sartori, like this video, like he's like, well, obviously not all boomers, and boomers have done good things in the world, and
yeah, but the only reason he's saying that is because of the point he makes about them. Otherwise, them finding a single exception has them disregard the entire generalization.
that's the problem with boomers. So just like, look, we're going to talk about boomers. Boomers are horrible people in general, and most boomers are like I love my parents. They're boomers.
Makes me want to offer like $3,000 one-on-one phone calls to boomers to cope with all the hate they get around here. The eight of spades is the farm deck card of the show. Yes, this exception proves the rule thing, Fraudwith.
The exception proves the rule. Look, we have to be able to talk about things, including people, by like referring to boomers. And yes, obviously that means not every boomer. Get over yourself.
It's like anybody. We just have to let it be known that if you say not every boomer, you're just doing stereotypical boomer behavior.
You are. Yes.
It's like self-identifying. Bully me. I'm a boomer. Don't do it. It's silly. Not every boomer is going to get bullied when they do it, but you might be the one that does. So don't do it. You gonna come on, Furry David? We're gonna make it a thing. What else did you want to do? You're talking about Mark Parker a lot in the beginning. What was that about?
So people are making it personal to him, and it's not personal to him.
Well, he's just representing hardcore as this, like he's leaning into his unique aspects, his unique what do you call it? Qualia. He's got qualia that other people in the corner don't do, and he's maximizing that to.
He's a boomer who's discovered this this little corner, or the Jordan Peterson sphere, or whatever we're going to call it.
He calls it TLC, so we say what he calls it when we're talking about him.
Do we? Anyway, and he loves it, and he doesn't really understand the boomer hate.
Well, if he watches Sartori's 2-hour documentary, I believe he'll have a firm grasp on the misconceptions berattling our poor minds on the topic.
He tried watching a little bit of it on the stream that he ended up taking down, and he really couldn't handle it.
Well, they do. His point is they don't do self-reflection, right?
Look, he's very boomerish. He's very boomerish.
Can you handle self-reflection?
And we have to be able to integrate boomers.
Speaking of integrating boomers, would they be operating at the 4th level of Ken Wilber's brain map?
Who cares? Ken Wilber just makes me puke. Did you see Hulk Hogan talking at the RNC?
No, I saw pictures and there was plenty. I miss Roddy Piper. That's what.
The whole time I was like, "Oh my God, he's doing the Grim Grizz thing. Oh my God, Grim Grizz has to see this."
Well, I guess I do then. The agency deck says it's a 6 of clubs tonight.
He broke the 4th wall, and then he broke the 5th wall, and then he broke the 6th wall. It was.
Oh dear. I will have to look at it then. I need to talk to your friend there. What's his name again? Guy the wrestler. He's yet to come on anything I've seen in character, so
he refuses. I mean, I haven't been able to get in touch with him. So
yeah, I think he moved on.
Yeah, and he wants nothing to do with like Judaism's not a part of his identity at all. I don't think.
Speaking of which, I'm considering having Hezi on to go over the Ark of the Covenant.
Hezi is a really smart guy, but I thought you would like Yoav. Yoav is very smart.
I do like Yoav. He's intimidating, but I like it when he pops around. I haven't seen him in my hive mind since, but he was there for a little bit, and then he came on that I did a bubble show where I let other people come on. He showed up for that. He was impressive, that fella.
Yeah. He is. He's very impressive. What do you want to talk about?
don't want to talk about anything. We'll see. Whatever comes out, comes out. I'd like to interact with your hive mind. It's not mine, so there could be strange interfacings.
I mean, if you want, I can put the link in the chat, and we can take anybody all comers. It's up to you.
All right, but let's do it one at a time.
Okay.
And give the hive mind an emoji that, like a gong show, to kick the one that's on off.
Okay.
All right, everybody in the hive mind, suggest which emoji you'd like to use to play the gong to kick off whoever comes on against me and Fitz. So, like, there's a guy who comes on, you don't like him. What emoji do you want to say to let us know that he should go?
Is there a hook emoji? If there's a hook emoji, I recommend boot. Garth recommends
Garth,
boot.
Good, that's a good one.
Boot works.
It's because some do and do not. Some don't work in StreamYards. It's fun to play around. You got channel memberships. You got fancy emojis like I do over on the Griswold Grimm channel.
I have channel memberships, but I hate when people give money to YouTube.
It's for me, man. I tell you what. Here's a personal anecdote. You want a personal anecdote?
Sure.
I escaped this town when I was almost 30, and I ended up working for a hospital system in Portland, Oregon area. And I was working the horrible shift of 2 to 11. So, and the new part of town, I hadn't lived there before. So in order to give myself some sort of social life, when I got off of work at 11 at night, I would walk the 2 blocks away from my office place to the Union Jack Strip Club. And and I would go on like Monday and Tuesday nights when I was working, which is, the slow nights, and you can kind of befriend the ladies. And they would tell me things like, we pay the stage and then we try to make back what we've paid to be on stage. And for me, that's what giving money to YouTube is like, it's the cut of the venue gets a cut, and that's fair. That's fair. And in exchange, there's emojis. So.
Okay, I'll give you my analogy. I snuck into the enemy camp, and I'm trying to get people to leave the enemy camp.
To go where?
And anywhere else. Anywhere else. Or to take over the enemy camp. And like people keep on tipping the prison guards.
Well, you know why I start, like, with the motive until I hit $1,000. What the motive of my channel was to, like, show out, like, say, hey Christians, there's a nice guy. You like him? You like him? Like, oh, YouTube silenced him. That's how bad the censorship is here. Because like back then there was still a lot of censorship denial.
Well, I have to say, Elon Musk. As much as I feel sorry for him and what he went through, like, if it wasn't for Elon Musk and his desire to destroy woke, I don't know where we would be.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my coffee cup's empty?
He's going to go get more coffee. Garth says, don't worry, Jacob, I give more money to my church. And you give money to Fountain of Comfort. Giving money to Fountain of Comfort is good. Honestly, if it wasn't for Grizz hanging around, I would end the stream because there's a lot of things I should be doing with my life, but we don't get Grizz very often. And so for Grizz, I will hang around. I am going to make an executive decision, and the boot emoji is the boot. And nobody seems to have wanted, why, thank you very much, Connie. Nobody seems to have wanted to come on. So, yeah. He's back. Should I let you on? I didn't know if you wanted to be back on.
I can understand. This is like the most intimidating, what you call it, to go up on a stream against, right?
Me and Grizz.
Yeah.
So, Gabriel?
Nope.
He came
Stucky?
on. Yeah.
I've seen the name.
He came on to my channel for a discussion, and for 2 hours we just agreed constantly. I don't believe I have ever agreed with anyone so much in my entire life.
Is he pro Noahide?
No, he's a Christian.
Oh, good.
But on on um, on Twitter, he was on X. He was discussing something with some people, and he's like, "Oh, this sounds like a great topic. Maybe Jacob, because I offered him use of my channel. He's like, maybe Jacob would be interested on it." And I said, "You are welcome to ask stupid questions on my channel as whenever you want, but that's a stupid and meaningless question you were talking about."
What? What's the meaningless question?
Couldn't God have made things better?
No, it's perfect the way it is, dumbass. God's perfect.
Yeah, dumbass is right. Like, what? And I was like, where are you standing when you are judging God? Like, what's the better? Like, define better, right, in relation to God. Like,
hello, one of limited tiny cognition and cognitive faculties. Please tell me how God could have made it better.
Yeah. and so it was like, Fraud, you should jump on. Can't you be Christian and pro Noahide? That's a good question. Grizz really loves the Noahide movement.
His garments of skin protect the Jews. Why would you volunteer for that?
He's incredibly pro Noahide. I expect him any day now to go to Jerusalem and accept the 7 laws of Noah upon himself.
I would go to Jerusalem just to be there, just to see if anything happens by me being there. That's by the power of my narcissism. Let's find out if anything happens.
Have you heard of Jerusalem syndrome?
Somebody's got to make me a passport because I really need a guardian. I need some guardianship, but man, we got to vet that mofo so hard. I'm really not capable of so much regular people should be able to be capable of. Let's see.
I know the feeling, my friend. I know the feeling.
Look, it's Teofilele.
It is.
People have pronounced it different in the past, but we're moving on in this season. It's Teofilele. He agreed. Yes, I can and miss swimming. I'm probably going to do some soon, actually. 3 of spades for the Blue Church.
Do you know this Romem guy?
No, just random troll by the looks. But, people like to make their impressions. At least it's not a blank profile like Fraud with the, I'm just the letter of my first name in the color. At least put some effort into it,
He's come on some he's come on some streams.
This Jerusalem syndrome, what happens?
Jerusalem syndrome is when you visit Jerusalem and then you think you're Jesus.
Why would I go if I didn't have it already? Hey, I'm just flashing cards at this point. My hands like to be busy. Oh, a whole day.
Hezi offers to spend a whole day with you if you come to Jerusalem.
When me and Hezi first met, there was a thing he and I talked about. Yes. If he comes here, we can do that.
I'm not sure I want to know.
That's plenty. Hey. Oh no, there's a rabbi in the house. Golly gosh, man.
There is a rabbi, and Rabbi Mullet went to the same yeshiva I did in Jerusalem.
I don't know what that means.
A yeshiva is kind of like a Bible college.
How's the U.S. Embassy doing now that it's been moved there?
I don't think it's actually changed much in the world. Everybody said that it would be Armageddon if it happened, and nothing happened. Yeah. Yes, or Sameach. I cannot. The fact Fraudwith knows or Sameach is a shocking thing to me. Why Fraudwith would know or Sameach is incredibly surprising to me. And the fact he spelled it correctly.
So when is Israel going to make their top secret AI that's way better than everybody else's public use?
Public use? I doubt they're going to make it public use. Did you read about what's it called, Stuxnet?
No.
Oh, so it's the computer virus that they created to destroy the uranium enrichment in Iran.
Ooh.
And like one of these companies like wrote, "Ooh, you still have the puppy?"
Kayfabe. Gotta keep kayfabe. He just got back from the vet today, sponsored by the Shadow Cabal. Got his shots and whatnot.
What was I saying? Oh, Stuxnet. It was really interesting. They put a lot of good shiurim on YouTube. Fraud with speaking Yeshivish with us. You're Dutch fraud. You're not supposed to be speaking Yeshivish. Yinglish. Yeshivish English.
Lobster monkeys? You guys are going to use all your fancy lingo. I'm going to lean in mine. So what was fascinating about it? What is it recent? Is it crowd strikey?
It was a couple of years ago, but like one of the things it had was it would report back and get new instructions. Oh, I have definitely fraud. Sorry, fraud. I do have you sorry, yeah, I got you confused with what's his name?
The Dutch guy you're confusing him with. What did Matthias say?
When will you invite Doug Wilson to appear on your channel? I know not only invited Doug Wilson, I contacted his organization and I said, I realize my channel is too small to have Doug Wilson, but will you send an elder from your church? And they said no. And I even I was thinking of the Kanakistani guy. What's his name? He's in the comments all the time on PDK's channel. I can't believe I can't remember his name. His brother is a CRC minister.
Because you're on the stream with me.
Old guy.
It's
Yeah,
a memory.
I would love to have anybody from that whole organization.
I could probably trick one on, don't you think?
Phlebas. See? I'm thinking of Phlebas. I got Phlebas confused with fraud.
It's because Phlebas also has a stupid just my front letter avatar, and it's the same color as Fraudworth. It's their own fault for the confusion.
It is their fault.
Let us get to know the inner creative you. You're showing us that you don't have one. We don't believe you. So
exactly.
Do something with your avatar.
And
you too, Yon God.
Like, there's 19 people watching, and nobody wants to come on with you. Yeah. You scare everybody, Bruce. Why are you so scary?
I'm broken in the way the light shines through. They don't like it. They don't like it. I don't know. Yon God, I have a real problem with. You're mute now? Why?
Why do you have a problem with yawning?
Like the mind control. You see, if he's in the hive mind, you need mind control against yawning or believing the stream is boring, because every time he says something in the hive mind, Chad, it puts that word in your mind. The physical, that in your head. That's why. That's what I don't like about him. But anyway, survival, social, wisdom, or heart. If you don't know what I'm doing, you don't get one unless you choose. Ooh, survivalist. That's a 3. Sorry for you. Socialist, doing fine over here on Fat Retchy with the 16. A 16. Wisdom, folks, even stronger. Look at the 18 there. They're hard folks, though. Oh my gosh. +3 the mind next stream save. That's a nat 20. That's a nat 20.
I pick smart.
Indigo kids only with the 6.
Natural 20. I win as always.
Well picked. Heart is usually well picked. When you fail the savings throws with a heart pick, it's usually because you're supposed to, and it's good for you. That's what I think. All right, so nobody's interested. Oh, wait a minute. See, there you go, Rabbi Mullet. You realize you guys really want to sell this Noahide nonsense? You'd be like, all right, you guys ever hear how whenever a person associated with the Jewish people, as they get personal, they say it's just amazing the network of connections that they have. You too can have limited access to this network through our Noahide program. That'll work. Because that's great. I mean, that the whatever you guys call that magic circle you put around New York. No, wait, that's the Daily Wire. No, wait, we're talking about something else. Sorry.
So when I was in high school, I kept on hearing the Masons rule the world. So I'm like, cool, I want to join. They started saying they don't rule the world at all.
When I was in high school, I wanted to be Republican because that's what the rich people were.
There you go.
See, now things just went weird. Okay, the Calvinist Patriarch of Moscow, Idaho. The Calvinist Patriarch.
I would call him the Bishop of Moscow. But...
Bishop, maybe. I don't know. Is Calvin even involved with that guy? He's more like the Doug Wilson than the Calvinist, right? He's like a Wilsonist. The Moscowian Wilsonists. They're a special flavor of whatever they are.
They're Calvinists.
Yeah, but they're a special flavor of Calvinists, I bet. They're like the Branch Davidians of Calvinism.
Every flavor of Calvinist is a special flavor of Calvinist.
They're the special elect.
We just started the 3 weeks, which is a time of liturgical mourning in the Jewish calendar.
What are you mourning?
The destruction of the temple.
Oh, wow. That'd be a weird time for strange stuff to happen. How many weeks? 3?
Mm-hmm.
Echoes, man. Echoes. I just hurry up and build the other one, dude. I only got like 40 years left, and I'm getting more and more decrepit.
It could.
I can't imagine that I would incarnate on the planet Earth as a life form in a timeline. This one, unless it was because the third time everything was going to pop off.
So I have said this many times. I would not at all in any way have to change any of my theology if a UFO landed on the Temple Mount tomorrow and the aliens came out and they looked like biblically accurate angels and they were like, see, we told you.
What do you make of that one that went off in like 2001 that shot up from the temple?
Yeah, you mentioned that before. We even pulled up the video. I wasn't impressed.
Something. I like the video of the lady saying they were hauling out holograph projectors from the temple. That one I like. But anyway, Nobody wants to play. Well, let me do this. Boomers destroyed with facts and logic. Let's say, can we use the X-Men franchise to mobilize the millennials, not millennials, the Generation X?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because unfortunately, Gen Z has a lot more X-Men than my generation does. But we should probably do something at this point.
Gen,
People my
Gen,
age.
honestly, I think the best Gen X can do is try to get the boomers to retire and then allow Gen Z to and the millennials to actually run the things with our support. But
I think we need to be vital in the rooting out of corruption, and machine learning forensic accounting. For fuck's sake, anybody for machine learning forensic accounting. Problem solved.
machine learning forensic accounting.
Uh-huh.
So the county of Los Angeles started putting all of its information out on the internet, and there were a lot of people like crunching those numbers, and a lot of interesting things happened. Some of them weren't so interesting. Like people got noticed that Rolls Royce was getting a lot of money, and they're like, "Who's buying Rolls Royces with the county of Los Angeles?" It's like, "Oh, Rolls Royce makes all the helicopter engines for the sheriff's department, so that's where the money was going to helicopters."
But it looked interesting for a second.
It did. It did.
Tell me this. You're in California. What's this deal about the they can take your kids now?
They can't take no. But the law that was passed was that school districts, I've heard can, but I'm sure will prohibit teachers from letting their parents know if a child is socially transitioning. So if you have
Your teacher has to keep the kid secret,
basically
or the kid can be taken. Like if the teacher tells the parents, then what?
nothing. No.
They're just endorsing that level.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. If a social worker thinks you're abusing your child because the kid is trans, they've been. I mean, they took a parent away. They took a kid away from a parent in, was it Montana, for that? So like, you didn't watch that stream, that interview with Jordan Peterson?
No. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in Montana, they took a kid away because their parents were not affirming.
Meanwhile, tell me this. Boomers destroyed with facts and logic, right?
Yeah.
I have a fact, and I don't understand why it doesn't destroy any pro-Ukrainian conflict boomer. And that fact is that they have appointed Marina Abramovich to help build schools.
I have no idea who that is.
Please look.
Marina
Abramovich. Look under spirit cooking, maybe. They've appointed this lady to build schools in Ukraine. How can you not see you're the bad guys?
Is a Serbian conceptual and performance artist. Her work explores body art, endurance art, the relationship between the performer and audience, the limits of the body, and the possibilities of the mind.
Do me this favor. Share your screen. Put her name in your YouTube, and let's see what videos come up.
But we have a boomer.
Oh, good. Mark's here. Are you pro-Ukraine conflict, Mark? Because that's the ones I'm going after right now. You are muted, by the way. Welcome.
Am I pro? No, I'm not pro Ukraine conflict. I am for
A lot of
stopping.
our
I'm for
American
stopping.
dollars
I'm for stopping Putin's expansion and protecting the NATO alliance as a matter of geopolitics.
They're not part of the NATO alliance, sir.
No, but they're adjacent to it, and if they fall, next goes Poland and Baltics and
You know they
the
speak
former.
Russian
He's the
in
goal
Ukraine?
of Putin's explicit goal and the goal of the
I'm
Zed
not talking.
nationalists is to restore the Soviet Empire. Yes, they've
Look at
said so.
look at this woman.
It's irrelevant. It's
Why?
irrelevant
What's wrong with this? Why can't they
because
have?
it's about geopolitics. It's not. It's
Why can't?
irrelevant.
Why
I,
do they
I
not deserve
agree
an
with
empire?
Mark that it's irrelevant, although I think it is relevant that we're sending a lot of money to Ukraine. But
Making life hard for Putin is the goal. Slow him down.
this is true. And
I think Putin is the plank in our neighbor's eye.
Oh, I've unblocked you, young god. So if you haven't, if you really weren't behind the alleged self-exposure, if you didn't, if you weren't the one who showed his Johnson on Chad's channel, you're welcome to give it a shot on mine. But you probably won't get that far. But you're back on. You can comment again on my streams. Go ahead, guys.
All right, Mark, tell me this. Is stopping Putin important enough that we should, what do you call it, get in bed with Satanists and Satan it's himself, perhaps?
We've
Is
done
it
it in the
worth
past.
that? Is it worth it? Should we do it now? Because this Marina Abramovich lady, I'm telling you, man, just look up her or Spirit Cooking, and she's building schools. That's for schools are for children. You don't let this lady near children. It is so wrong. Wrong. I'm passionate about this.
We can tell. But the fact is, I personally think this is a huge distraction from everything that's going on in the United States.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Vote in a couple months? I mean, there's really
I am going to vote.
I'm watching it.
I would want to vet your allegation, Grim. I can't do that here and talk to you guys. If you want to send me some links, you're welcome to it. My email is on my channel. You're more than I will read absolutely anything you take the time to send me, Grim. I will absolutely read.
Send you a headline that says she's building schools and a headline that says Spirit Cooking. That's all it takes.
Well, apparently she is involved in Spirit Cooking, but
I don't even know what that is, guys. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
It doesn't sound great, does it? Spirit Cooking, sir.
But who says it and what does it mean? Who's making the allegations and I mean, you're.
She's famous for it. If you don't know her, you don't know it. That's fine.
Okay.
I just said send me the links and I'll look it up.
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't.
What's going on in American politics? You think that's important?
No, and the fact is, ultimately, part of my thing is, I do think we need to reduce politics to being in only its proper location, which is something we don't do. It does need to be only in its proper location, but that includes politics being in its proper location. You cannot the idea that anybody is apolitical, like this is one of the things people who claim to be.
I think that anybody is apolitical is a wide open market in a capitalist system. Because, like, the fact of the matter is, in order to be an informed voter, you would have to pay way more attention than you're actually capable of. But for only $49.99 a month, a year, $49.99 a year, we'll pay attention to politics for you.
Grim, the distributed cognition is about having people you trust.
That watch politics?
Including watch politics. No, politics is important. Politics is important. Who is the president of the United States is important.
Yeah, you
I've
got to
yet
be
to
able to
be
answer that.
I've yet to be destroyed. I'm waiting to hear it. I'm not even properly a boomer. I'm right on the cusp. I'm allegedly on the last year. 64 was when I was born. So am I a boomer or am I an Xer?
I'm not sure you watched from the very beginning.
I listened to like the first half up to now at
Okay.
at
The
one and a
important
half,
bit,
2 times speed as fast as I could and still listen.
Okay.
And I tried to catch as much as I could, and then you guys got distracted on something else, and I thought this was a good time to jump in.
So the title "Destroyed with Facts and Logic."
every time he uses it, it's a damn lie.
Yes.
Mr.
Every
Facts
time I use
never
it,
destroys anything with facts and logic.
Exactly.
It's a gimmicky title, and
It's clickbait.
you should not be expected to be
it's
destroyed.
sarcastic.
He might try and hug you as part of like the ultimate
Oh,
part of the
well,
deception.
that's pretty scary. I better. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not.
when it says destroyed, especially in capitals with facts and logic, it
Okay.
means
Okay.
that's
Okay.
that's
It's
what it-
ironic.
Yes,
Although
It's a
we
literary device.
correct.
we did talk about how
I did.
Sartori's video was destroying you.
No.
Well,
No.
that's
Let me
the-
explain. Let me explain what was happening that night and why I pulled it.
Yeah.
Oh,
One,
okay,
I'm
so-
cycling. I'm going to be real. Have you guys seen my self rando? They're calling it. I did a back in March, about a month after my accident, when I first started getting involved in over here. I just as a gesture, I did a fairly poorly recorded testimony of sorts. All right. Then I reworked it and I boosted. William Branch complained bitterly about the quality of the sound, so I edited the two videos together and then improved the audio and then reposted it recently. So it's all in one place. You can watch my story. All right, that's my story. So if you can find out more, but if you know anything about my story, as I have type 2 bipolar disorder, I'm probably in a down cycle right now. Hopefully not rapid cycling. That night particularly was bad. I couldn't get 2 words out in a coherent way. It was really difficult. I didn't realize how bad it was until I looked back at I was like appalled at my performance, so to speak, and realized, oh yeah, I'm not in the best health right now for that.
I didn't
And
want
so I did that. So I didn't want to generate bad vibes in the community. So I just put it to private for now. And if I think I thought I had it was very nice of Luke Freeman to join me. He spoke coherently in place of me. And that was that. I will engage Michael and I will watch his video and I will review it if he wants.
So I watched most of that video. I didn't watch all of it. It seemed it didn't seem so bad to me. I have to say what you said in that video, where a lot of times people are, when they respond to something, it has more to do with themselves than it does with you. That's just going to be true for all of us. Whenever, like all three of us, I think whenever anybody, like when people respond to things, there's some of what they're seeing has nothing to do with you, right? Anytime, like anything what, Grace?
People are shadow lanterns, and the light they illuminate things with, they see their own shadows like projected onto you, and you can't take that.
What's a shadow lantern, Rib? Can you help me out? Explain.
All right. Do you know what an axiomatic presupposition is?
Yes.
Okay, those things they make a lantern around the light of Christ that shines from you, and it shapes like how the light shines through and like what you see, because you're a light source that can only see yourself in reflection. You're like an eyeball that way. You can't
Yes. You can't see yourself see. Yes,
So the
yep.
shadow lantern is your
I
axiomatic
see.
presuppositions and how it
Okay.
affects the light coming from you.
Interesting.
And frankly, I mean, part of so Mark, I am very, very glad you're involved in this little corner.
Even though I'm a Muppet?
Of course. We're all Muppets.
You didn't stipulate that.
You've been
okay.
a pleasant addition
It's a
to this
Muppets
season.
Muppets. Go ahead, Grim. What'd you say?
You've been a pleasant addition to this season.
So the Muppet is a Mark Lefebvre term, and he
Jim Henson
constantly says you are a Muppet. In fact, he sells mugs that say you are a Muppet. So part of it, I have to say, is you just haven't been around. Like, for example, me doing a Destroyed with Facts and Logic stream. Like, I have had many Destroyed with Facts and Logic stream, all of which where I don't destroy anybody with that.
Like the Calvinism thing.
Yes, exactly. In fact,
I'm still on ramping. I'm still on ramping.
Yeah, wasn't that I think I named that Calvinism Destroyed with Facts and Logic, didn't I? Yeah.
Nobody has ever watched any of your other videos. I would like everybody who operates in this corner, especially Luke Thompson, to know that nobody has ever watched anything you've ever made up until now. There's no point in referencing the video you made the other week, Pastor Paul. There's not, no, just don't pretend it doesn't exist. Say the thing you're saying. Don't reference the thing you did a month ago. Nobody cares.
But then how are we going to have a conversation that actually progresses anyway?
Because say the thing you said in the video rather than saying I made a video. Or at least say what you said in the video. Come on. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I hope we all learn. Nobody has ever watched anything you've ever done.
Except Grizz. People know what your saving throws are about, despite you never explaining what saving throws are.
Right, but I will never tell people, like, I made a video about what savings go what? No.
No.
Actually, I got the best decoding of Grim Grizz today on part 2 of my live stream after I got my internet back up and working, and it was all thanks to McMo. He gave me a nice little whole, laid it out. He told me all your tricks and secrets and how it's all the shadow cabal. It's really, go and watch it, guys, if you want to learn more about how Grim operates.
I'll have to see. I'm fascinated what McMo thinks is going on.
Yeah, I want to go see this video now.
Part 2. It's called Speaking in Tongues Tuesday, Part 2.
Speaking in Tongues Tuesday.
I was in the chat for that. I guess I missed that part.
You were in Part 1? I don't know if you made it over to Part 2.
I drop in on occasion. I've been spending a lot of time with my dad falling out.
Is your dad okay?
Yeah, we play video games together.
Okay.
Fallout's a video game.
Oh, this is 2 hours.
That's how I'm with it. I'm so with online gaming.
I recommend the series if you have Amazon Prime. They made a television show of it.
Actually, I think I've heard about that. That part I did hear. I forgot it was
finding it, Jacob?
Mark, you're wearing the same shirt.
It's the same day.
Oh.
So when did McMo say this? About 40 minutes in?
McMo comes in almost like 5 minutes. I'm early. This maybe not even that much.
Yeah, but the great part about me.
Oh, I haven't rewatched it, so I don't know. It's at what point he starts talking about you. You're gonna have to invest a little time and watch the.
Are the transcripts there? Can we control F yet?
No transcripts yet.
It's too fresh. It's too fresh. We'll cover it tomorrow. We'll cover it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have the chat. So yeah.
The question is What's up with Ryan Lewis? And he's still adding all these newbies to this dash little dash corner that can.
I don't know if he is adding new channels. Is he?
I don't know. We need more
Ryan,
tools or other landlords.
Ryan is getting his master's in psychology to become a professional clinical counselor.
Yeah, there's going to be a thing where people come in and make stuff, and we either have to make a new one or.
No, he's still maintaining the whatchamacallit.
You know, it's a great way to see transcripts of lost video.
This little-corner.com. It is a pretty good chance. It is. I mean, Brian did a huge favor to all of us with that. He's a very gifted programmer.
I think the corner wouldn't have survived if they wouldn't let me on there.
Why wouldn't they let you on there?
I don't know. But had that happened, I'm pretty sure I would have destroyed everything. So could he put me in?
Hey,
I really resonated with Musk on that. You know,
I invited you to be involved with Randos United, and you didn't want to do it.
Yeah. So I'm a pillar, man. I can't. Together.
He has a reputation to maintain.
What's
this little corner of the internet? I'm on it. So what do I do? You type in.
So you can search, and it will search all the various channels.
Yeah, that's the de facto landlord of who is and who is not.
Yeah,
that corner because it's that search engine.
Of videos.
So, like, if you wanted to do like Nephilim,
mm-hmm.
and then hit search, you can then sort it by the channels and include like you want Paul or Viveki or Federecci and see who talked what about Nephilim. And a lot of people who make the branding have made use of. Like, I think most of what Raquel did was like finding those terms.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Quite epic, actually.
Yeah, he's an excellent programmer.
It's funny because Nephilim came up at the adult Sunday school class at my church this last Sunday. And I just, by the way, Jacob, you could actually talk about, read the Hebrew of Genesis 6:2 for us.
I have Genesis 6 is definitely one of the videos I've gone through.
Genesis 6:2 is a bitch. I mean, it's, look at the. I don't know how anybody, because you have so-called word-for-word English translations, right? I do not know how on earth they do they could possibly do a word-for-word English translation of Genesis 6:2. It makes no sense. When I I'm looking at the interlinear. I'm looking up the words. Each individual. It is a weird verse.
Go to your closet and say, Holy Spirit, I've been so misguided as to go on to some Jew's channel telling him to explain this to me when I know that it's you, Holy Spirit, that is supposed to guide my interpretations of the scriptures.
Hilariously, when my channel first started, this is from 4 years ago, I would do like a half-hour introduction before I would get into the chapter I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was on the Noahide laws. And then Genesis 6:2 is... Where is it?
Better make sure I got my reference right. Yeah, the sons. Yeah.
Okay, so...
Oh, what a spicy part.
It's very spicy.
You got a lot of boomers in your Sunday school?
Are you going to do it? Let's see what NIV does. Human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born.
Yeah, mute it and just do it again, man. That's terrible.
And it came to pass when man commenced to multiply upon the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. So this is actually, there's no Rashis on this sentence. Oh well. So they are making it clear that it's a singular man, and it's saying daughters were born to them. Interesting. Who them may be. I would actually
man is mankind, right there.
Well, I will leave you to puzzle that to yourself.
Okay,
verse 2. ויראו בני האלוהים את בנות האדם כי טובות הנה ויקחו להם נשים מכל אשר בחרו. Oh, very interesting here. Okay, so conjunctive vav, yiru, right? So this yud is telling you that it is in the imperfect. The hey at the end has absconded, and the vav at the end is telling you that it's in the third person masculine plural. So they saw bnei
The
ha'elohim.
third person
And notice we're
masculine
not
plural.
changing this to Elohim, which I would do if we were talking about the name of God, because many times in the Bible there are places where we use the word Elohim, right, where we're not actually referring to God, right? We're not referring to the holy name. We are actually referring to powers, right? To the strong ones, to the people who were rulers, right? And this actually comes up many times in the Bible. So when we talk about the name Elohim, it's
Say that
it's
real
not as
quick.
rare
When
as
we
people
talk
may
about
think,
the what?
especially in the Hebrew.
B'nai Elohim.
Bene Elohim. Say it pretty.
So, the way I usually explain this verse is the most simple explanation of it is referring. So think of Game of Thrones, and you have the sons of the lords, and you have the small folk, right? So in ancient times, you had people who were the children of the giants, right? They were the lords of the land, and they were raping the daughters of the small folk, the little people,
Or the mutant Nephilim, who were crossbreeding and breeding abominations with the children.
I would not say that is the plain translation of the text.
That's not the plain translation.
And are we sure? What would be the difference if this say this wasn't within a Jewish context? I mean, or we're assuming monotheistic context. Could that the of God part, Elohim?
Yeah.
Could that be of gods?
So yeah, I mean it is of God's, and that's what I mean by
which
power.
Makes it even more problematic. Yes.
No.
Wait.
Are we working with the context? I mean, is part of the translation, in your view, reading the whole thing in context? So, when we say the sons of God.
So if you pay attention to Heiser, Michael Heiser, God rest his soul, he has tried to help Protestants move away from this flattening of the celestial hierarchy. There is a celestial hierarchy in the Jewish Bible.
Real quick. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like as it goes on, when those people took those wives, what came out was abominations, right? They get washed away in the flood.
Nephilim is what came out. Nephilim were the product
of
the union.
Just means fallen people.
That's an abomination, right?
No more than you're an abomination.
Boy, howdy am I an abomination.
Well, you keep on saying you're a double bastard.
I've met my father now, so I don't know if it even qualifies anymore.
So you're a single bastard?
Redeemed. You're a redeemed bastard, as am I.
Look.
Although I'm not a bastard.
The Jewish concept of angels and demons is not, I don't think, very similar to the Christian concept of angels and demons, because we don't truly believe in rebellious demons. Like that's not a thing. The
like
demons are also doing what God told them to do.
It's fine.
Well, you would say your view is still Job, the court scene in Job, right? Would that still be part of the Jewish cosmology? Yeah. Now is that different from I guess the Christian cosmology is more Manichaean, isn't it? In general, most Christians tend to see it at least it may not be the predominantly theologically correct view, but it is the popular view that is war is Satan and God are at war, whereas Satan serves God in Job.
The way I put it provocatively is Satan is the fourth branch of the Trinity, because Christians believe there are things that are created by Satan that were not created by God. And we don't believe there's anything that was created not by God. Anything that exists, and evil certainly does exist, was created by God.
Would you have I don't know if there's a theologically serious Christian who would say that Satan's created anything. I would. It may be. You might have a kind of folkloric.
Lies.
They would say
He's the father of lies. Are lies not a creation?
Well,
you guys are going too theological for me. I'm going to go fall.
Oh, he just destroyed us with facts and logic. He just destroyed us with facts and logic. You're right, Grizz.
Somebody has.
Thank you for coming on, Grizz.
I didn't mean to drive him away.
Oh,
He had just destroyed me.
I'm shocked he stayed this long. He very, very rarely comes on. Honestly, I was not gonna. I was only going to stream for all of 5 minutes and then stop. But when he said he was going to come on, I'm like, hey, if Grizz will come on, I will stream. But going back to the thing, most Christians will say that evil is not a creation. Evil is a lack of good, being away from God, etc., etc. Darkness is there not being light, which is theologically unlike Judaism, where we say, oh no, darkness is a real thing God created. And Isaiah quite clearly says,
45:7.
Yep, created. Yep.
Yep, God's in control of the whole kit and caboodle.
The whole kit and caboodle, which is what Calvinists are trying to emphasize in a Christian framework, but ultimately, like, what can I say? I don't think Christianity works. You will not be surprised that I don't think Christianity works. If I did think Christianity worked, well, my life would be a lot easier.
No, I don't. I like when push comes to shove, it all said and done, I am a non-dualist. I definitely think it's all contained within God. The only question is, what is precisely the drama that we are acting out within the mind of God, and within that drama, what's real and not real, and what, how seriously are we to take it all?
So what I would say is, in the Ten Commandments, it says that God visits the evil of those who hate him to the third and fourth generation, whereas he continues the love of those who love him onto the thousands of generations. And so there is fundamentally no equality between good and evil in a Jewish cosmology. That which is good is eternal, and that which is evil is temporal. And in a sense, you could say we are very annihilationist. At the same time, the Talmud talks about people who hell will end and their punishment will not. And that's not the worst people, because the worst people end up in hell. But some people end up in living for eternity with the knowledge that there was so much better and more that they could do than they did. And that is how I interpret those who hell will end and their punishment will not. So in Judaism, we view very, very few people to be so completely bad that they will be, in fact, annihilated. The vast majority of us have to deal with the fact that after the resurrection, we will have to live with our sins for the rest of eternity, which is why it might be a good idea not to sin so much and to repent of the sins you have done.
Okay. Not a debate club, so I think I appreciate the points, and I will certainly think on them some more.
Cool.
But it's let's just go back to Michael's video. What did you like so much about it? What did I watched? I watched more than you saw. I watched on the video. I didn't just respond to only what I mean. In the video that got taken down, I watched beyond that. Just so you know.
So Michael is an incredibly thoughtful person, and I would take his points seriously,
even if his history is not necessarily accurate. It doesn't have a very his points on history were poorly.
They were accurate enough. He's explaining a narrative.
He doesn't understand Nazi Germany. That's a big one.
I'm not sure that's relevant to the point that he's making. I mean, he's trying to help us understand, and frankly, this is something that, look, in this corner, we are dealing with a lot of people who are terminally online Zoomers, and the terminally online Zoomers, which a lot of the young people here are, view the boomers as the other and the great Satan and that which has destroyed everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You lost me. What's the great Satan? Boomers?
The boomers, yeah.
Okay. And this is according to who?
The terminally online young people.
Oh, okay. Now I'm okay. I lost you for a minute. Okay, the syntax. Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot of what I call terminally online, but basically there's a large portion of young people who have very little hope, and a lot of them are finding their way into this little corner or the Jordan Peterson sphere, because they have, in a very real sense, been shafted, and they're trying to understand how they were shafted. I mean, that was the video, the very funny video that Michael clipped. That frankly,
right, yeah, I know the little skit thing, yeah,
the little skit, and so I'm not surprised that you were not aware of like the rabid hatred that certain corners of the internet, not necessarily ours, but also including ours, has for the entire boomer generation.
No, I'm aware it's a meme. I don't know how serious it is to take. I know there are extremists. I thought I had more respect for Michael. Well,
he's not one of these people who does that. In fact, if anything, I think he was very much trying to
bridge a gap.
Yes.
Okay. I'll listen I'll listen for the bridge.
Yeah. No, and that's honestly, I mean, so the community comment I made was two things can be true at once, right? The boomers have done great wrongs in the world, and that doesn't mean that we should ship them all off to in the cattle cars. And unfortunately, I don't think people are aware of of
Well, you understand? Did you listen to the part where between Luke and I when it reached the point where it dawned on me that Michael's argument is essentially Marxist?
I
That it's a
okay.
class. He's identified a power, bourgeoisie, and he's calling them boomers. The boomers are the bourgeoisie, and that and then from thereafter, it's essentially a kind of Marxist critique.
So right, I've been saying Curtis Yarvin. I'm not sure you've heard that name before. Bronze Age pervert. Similarly, they definitely have a Marxist frame. I don't think Michael subscribes to that frame. I think he was speaking to that framing, which we, frankly, in this little corner, we have to do, and I have to do, because there are a lot of people who um, have. There's a lot of people here, especially in my audience, who have consumed a lot of what's called NRX, neo-reactionary information and framing. And I would agree with you that there is a Marxist framing there. Now, what I would say is, at the same time, Shadow is asleep. Like, you don't see how okay she is. She's like right there. There's Shadow. So don't worry about Shadow, Connie. But part of the problem, however, is that the the boomers, and frankly, you could say the same thing about mainstream media. You could say the same thing about just society, broader society in general. They're not aware of or reflective of all of the ways in which what people around here would call the longhouse or boomers, or it depends who's blaming who, right? The the manosphere will blame the longhouse, and the Zoomers will blame the boomers, and so there's a lot of blame going on, with very few people going, "I am the sinner. I am the sinner." Everybody's pointing a lot of pointing a lot to a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, honestly, we have to have these discussions before this country actually falls apart any more than it is. And that's actually the thing that I've been trying to make clear is, no, the sky is not falling immediately. But the situation today is at least, I would say, as bad as it was in the 60s and 70s in terms of political turmoil. It's certainly worse than it was when I was growing up in the 90s, and I would say in the 80s. And frankly, I think I can make very good arguments why it's worse than the 60s and the 70s, and going back into how it was closer to the 1850s or the 1750s. And I would hate to see this country devolve into civil war. And I can tell you that we came within an inch of a fighting civil war last week. Like, actual civil war. Now, even if, God forbid, Trump had been murdered, maybe it wouldn't have been a shooting civil war. But you have to understand that the right doesn't riot. That's not how the right does things.
I agree.
And
well, that's not true. January
Well,
6th.
January 6th was created by Nancy Pelosi.
No, but okay.
Uh,
You're welcome to your view, but I'll beg to differ.
I don't see how anyone can deny the fact Nancy Pelosi engineered January 6th. But we don't need to talk about
That would be another stream. If you want, we could go through the evidence of that someday. That might be fun for shits and giggles.
I mean, you can see how many times they asked for more police, and she said no.
Well, in the moment, they did, but another stream, another time. All right, finish your thought, though.
So,
aside, pretend I didn't object.
If we end up with a civil war, I will end up in a shithole country like the one that I came from, and I don't want to do that. When I went to my nephew's graduation with my father, my mother, and my sister's mother-in-law, all three of whom are refugees. They were very emotionally impacted by the pro-Hamas, and I can only call it pro-Hamas leanings that went through the entirety of the the ceremony. And so, like, there are things that are happening that our social class is not paying attention to, and that's really scary. And we need to be able to discuss those things, but we're not.
Did you catch any of Chad's? I think it was Chad's stream, and maybe somewhere else. That was a day or two later after Christians. We had the day of the event, and folks were worked up. There was Christian's stream that we were briefly on together, and then I can't remember if it was the next day or the day after Chad had his, and he mentioned the fact it would have been the day after, so it would have been the 2 days after the event, and he said how weird it was, and then someone else agreed with him how weird it was that no one talked about it. And people went to church and nothing happened, and they went to work and nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about it at church. Nobody talked about it at work. So yeah, this was what it had to be a couple days after the event.
That's dangerous.
I think there's a tiny class of politically engaged people who were, like you say, wound up enough to take it to the barricades. Just as there would have been if the tables were turned.
Mark,
But
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think people were not talking about it because they weren't thinking about it, or they were not talking about it because they were afraid to talk?
Well, that's certainly the question. I don't think there's fear because most Americans aren't afraid to speak their mind.
You're absolutely wrong. That you have what you are saying is factually without any basis and completely misunderstands the situation.
Well, I'm just saying I know Americans, and I'll dare to say I know Americans better than you do, just because I've lived amongst them my whole life.
I dare to say that I have paid more attention to what is going on in American politics. And you can very much look at the survey data. People do not feel comfortable talking about politics.
Okay, yes, I agree on that.
Because of the tyranny imposed by the Democrats and the left. The tyrannical left, in their authoritarian ways, has been destroying the ability of Americans to speak their mind.
Yeah, I don't not on this subject. I mean, just Americans on Donald Trump. I think most Americans were appalled. Most Americans were concerned, but they weren't. It was not. It wasn't. The fact that he survived was their reaction was like my own. He dodged the bullet, and so did we. And that was my view. I'm thankful for his safety. I was then. I am now. And I felt then, and I feel now, it would have been exponentially worse. For the country had he died, but it's not. Again, most Americans. Have you ever see? I'm an old time. I am. You have to go back in time when I was younger. But as a young man, I was a confrontational person. Okay. I've not met very many Americans who just back down. It's just not in our nature. If we got better things to do, we try to get out of trouble. But if you're going to be really difficult, at least most American men will pretty much stand up for himself. He may not beat his chest about it, but he's going to stand up for himself. He's going to at least speak his mind. And if some crazy person is holding a gun, of course they're going to, and you don't have a gun of your own, you're going to try to find a way out. But it's not in the American personality to just not express himself. We're the most self-expressive people on the planet.
Mark, it's 2024. Donald Trump became president was elected president in 2016.
Yes.
8 years ago. Why do you think people voted for Donald Trump in 2016?
I don't know. They didn't vote for him.
That's a problem. That's a
no. I mean, it's not a problem. It's. I don't. I mean, I can understand they voted for him for the reasons they voted for him. I don't care why they voted for him. I know there are people who want to tear the system down. I know there are
Mark, you don't care? That's half of this country. You just don't care what their reasons were for voting for president that way.
I don't care to think about it right now in this moment where I'm going to meticulously try to give you an intelligent answer to your question. I'm already kind of at the limits of my cognitive abilities right now, the way I'm feeling. So I'm just saying that I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it, I could articulate for you why I believe there are people. Yes, there was anger. Do I think all the anger is rational? No. Do I think they're being propagandized? Yes. Do I think all the propaganda is based on facts? Some yes, some no, mostly half-truths. And what is a half-truth if it's not a lie? So does that mean flip it around? Does that mean my worldview is perfectly correct? Does it mean I have all my facts in the right way? No, I don't. See, we could, in a sense, when I say I don't care, I don't mean I just don't care to get into it right now because it's a morass. What happened in 2016 was weird, an anomaly. What were the impact? Well, part of it was a reaction to a black president, Barack Obama.
None of it. That's just a lie. That is just a plain lie.
Then why was there so much racist, flagrantly racist imagery and language used amongst Republicans from 2009 until Obama left the office?
Because you believed all the propaganda you were fed and you drank the Kool-Aid.
No, it was there to be seen. If you're willing to see it, it's there.
completely Kool-Aid. 100%
No.
figment of Blue Anon that you bought completely did not exist.
So we disagree. So what do we do? Do we just? I mean, we can just stop talking and call it a night. I mean, it's just so we disagree. That's my point. Why would I bother? Why do I want to exhaust myself trying to get into the minds of these people? And they weren't half of the country, because half the country, we didn't have a 100% turnout. We had a fairly good turnout, but not 100% electorate.
Mark, so that's
A third didn't vote.
Okay, I would like for us to be living in the same world, dealing with the same facts, to be able to discuss the things that are very important. And the problem is our society is coming apart. We aren't living in the same world. We don't believe in the same facts. And this is just getting worse and worse. And if we cannot discuss things, which we can't, because of the tyranny of the Democrats, their tyrannical, authoritarian censorship and personal destruction of anyone who says anything that disagrees with their propaganda, then we are going to end up at violence.
Do you know what president of the 20th century was called a dictator most often?
Nixon?
Nope. FDR. By
Okay.
Republicans.
Okay.
This is an old meme. It's this whole drama has been replayed before. Maybe call me naive. I think our Constitution works. I think my Constitution works when my liberal friends think it's the end of the world. I think it's going to work if the Constitution is going to work if Donald Trump's elected or if Kamala Harris is elected. It's going to work. It's going to keep going. And the thing is let whomever they want go to the barricades if they so wish. You will not overthrow this state. I'm telling you that you might as well be Bar Kokhba going against Rome. You are dead man walking if you think you're going to go up against this regime, this system.
Mark, you are sure of something that you can't be sure of. Every country persists until it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And like I give this example constantly. I'm kind of still an insurance broker, but I'm putting that aside. But I remember going to a business, and he wanted fire insurance, and he didn't have circuit breakers. He had the old bulb style things. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And I said, I'm sorry, I can't insure your business. And 3 years later, he comes back to me and he's like, you didn't insure my business. I got insurance from somebody else. It was more expensive. It still hasn't burnt down. You made a mistake. And it was like, you don't get it, do you? That's not how insurance works. Mm-hmm. I take certain risks and I don't take other risks. That doesn't mean that it's 100% that your business is going to burn down. And the fact your business didn't burn down also doesn't mean it wouldn't have been better if you had gotten circuit breakers. Mm-hmm. The United States that I was living in 20 years ago was not a United States where people were as ready to shoot at each other as they are now. And I see no reason why we need to continue down this path, which for 20 years, I keep on saying, this is getting worse and worse and worse. And I have to say, if it wasn't for Elon Musk buying Twitter, I think we would be in such a worse position than we are
How
now.
old were you in when Timothy LaVey blew up the
Timothy McVeigh.
McVeigh? Excuse me. Yeah, McVeigh. Sorry.
I think I was a teenager.
Before him, you probably didn't listen to a lot of talk radio. I'm guessing.
I listened to a lot of talk radio.
Did you?
Yes.
So do you remember all the talk of the militia talk in those days? It was very active on talk radio.
Yes.
McVeigh. Yeah, I really got that word wrong, didn't I? That name. McVeigh, when he blew that up, that killed the militia movement, more or less until Obama became president.
Correct.
Once Obama became president, it reignited within a year. It was back active, and I know this for a fact because, God help me, I was one of my best friend in college, high school and part of college, got messed up in that and became mentally deranged and killed himself. Or one of my friends, one of my closest friends. Anyway, I say that they were the 90s. Even the 90s were not safe times. Even though in the 80s and 90s, as I talked about with Luke Freeman, the 80s and 90s were really a remarkably benign period, a 20-year period. It was bookended by the hostage crisis in Iran and 9/11, but that span of time, that 20-year period of time, was a real anomaly historically for this country, and even it was far from perfect. I think you're just not used to the way things have generally been for most of American history.
No, okay. Jonathan Haidt is not right wing. He's not Jonathan Haidt has been saying the same thing that Jordan Peterson has been saying, that lots of people have been saying, including John Vervaeke. The fact is, our society is, in fact, right now coming apart. Now, if you don't believe that, I highly recommend. I can give you book after book, and there's a reason why I am pro.
Okay, say what's the problem? What? Okay, say that again. What am I missing? What are they all agreeing that
our society is falling apart? I could point you to political scientists after political scientists. Charles Murray's written books.
Quantify it, though. Okay, that's you're using metaphorical language. Quantify it.
So these political scientists have written books that quantify it quite clearly. Even Norm Ornstein, who does it from the other side, he believes it's all the Republicans' fault. And if we just got rid of all the Republicans and shipped them off to a concentration camp, it would work.
No question. The intelligentsia on both sides, there are representatives of the intelligentsia on both sides who think the sky is falling, and I'm saying that basically they're fundamentally wrong. The evidence is not as clear as they say it is.
I think Charles Murray and Shelby Steele and Jonathan Haidt and Jordan Peterson, all of them have done serious social science work that is quantitatively and qualitatively rigorous science, which shows that there is something wrong right now.
Yes,
that
I agree.
As society needs to be able to deal with.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Okay.
But it's not going to overthrow the state. I'm just saying, you don't understand what the level of effort that's required to overthrow this state.
Mark,
I don't think you understand the power of this state.
That's not how civil wars work nowadays. Tanks do not win.
Oh, I'm not talking about tanks, but go ahead. That's fine.
Uh,
I'm not talking about tanks. I don't think it's so much more sophisticated than all that. Much more sophisticated. It goes to finance. It goes
Operation Choke Point. I know Operation Choke Point. Go and look up what happened with our Operation Choke Point. No, it doesn't. And that type of tyranny is not going to continue working in the age of internet.
It will, because you can't look. People will be a lot less concerned. Well, look, in an emergency, the federal government can exert control over the internet in a matter of, I'll be generous, hours, if not minutes.
Mark.
No, hold on a second. You don't.
China.
But you can shut down communications. They can shut down communications in an instant. Once they do that, why wouldn't they shut down communications? Because they have massive intel.
Government will be dead. Any government in America that tries that is over.
Well, they probably wouldn't do it, because they do better by leaving channels of communication open and monitoring them using supercomputers and they have this. This is what's the guy who ran Russia talked about it.
This is honestly what I liked about Sartori's thing is you have this idea where, oh no, the world's always going to be perfect because that's all I've ever experienced.
No, I'm not saying perfect. I'm just telling what's perfect. I'm telling you a scenario. I'm telling you
Neverland. You were born in Neverland, and you think that you can remain a child forever, and you can't, because the world
I disagree.
is actually a lot more.
You've yet to demonstrate the federal government doesn't have the power to do what it's done in the past.
Right. I have to demonstrate to you that it's possible for the United States not to be the great country that you have known your entire life, because that's all you know. Because that's all you know. You've never lived in a shithole country.
I didn't say, okay, Mark, if you think everything is going to be okay, why bother having this conversation? I didn't say I think everything is going to be okay. I'm just simply saying that the state is massive beyond comprehension, and it's simultaneously has. You don't see it. Okay, fine. You don't see it. If you want, I could prepare some essay at some point, lay out my case instead of doing this.
I finished all my coursework for a Master's of Public Administration and a law degree. And I have a bachelor's degree in political science.
Great. Okay.
You think you're going to write an essay that's going to change my mind?
No. I just think it's sad that you have an audience that believes you entirely without examining what you're arguing. I mean, I'm challenging, and all you do is you yell.
You just insulted everybody who's listening to my.
No, if they're that easily insulted, then maybe that's what's necessary.
I didn't say that they took offense. I said you just insulted them by saying that they just believe, because I'm some sort of cult leader, right? Obviously, when I say something, everybody in my audience just believes it.
No, I didn't say that, did I? Look back.
Yes,
roll back the tape.
Exactly what you just said.
No, I said if you want. Okay, look.
That is exactly what you
You're
just
not.
said.
Okay, whatever. If I said it, I said it. I apologize.
Thank you.
Look. you're certainly welcome to your views. You're certainly welcome to take whatever lawful political action you wish to take to forestall, prevent the catastrophe you see coming. I don't see it that way. I think sometimes we can create, we can fulfill our own prophecies through, this sort of thinking. But even then, I just don't, my view is I think Edward Snowden clearly established the level of power that the deep state wields, and I think it's even more sophisticated than he thought, and more powerful. I don't think this is necessarily a great thing. I'm not even I'm not here to promote the United States or the American way of life. I don't think it's that hot. But what I'd say is we have differing views on what's wrong with the American way of life. I'd much rather be talking about Jesus and promoting faith rather than arguing for the power of the American state, because essentially it is the hegemon. Part of my thinking, why I think you're not going to see an overthrow of the American hegemon, is because there's nothing to replace it with. I've examined it. I've thought about it. It was something going back some time. I thought perhaps that would be what was best for California to go its way and Texas to go its. And I became persuaded that was a complete pipe dream.
So I'll agree with you there. I think especially the people who think that we can have like individual states seceding, et cetera. I think people really have zero clue what it would mean if the U.S. Navy was not maintaining the shipping lanes between the international shipping lanes. If the port of Los Angeles were to shut down, I don't think people have any clue how our lives would absolutely be. The entirety of the United States would be affected. Yes, people have zero clue how complex, and frankly, driving across this country is what absolutely it was amazing to me to see how little people understand of how government functions and how society functions. But the alternative to our society functioning as well as it is now is not and could never be something that's so much better or even a little bit better. It's mostly something that is far, far worse. And if you think that we can't have something that is far, far worse, if we can't have our situation be as bad, from going from as good as Venezuela was to what Venezuela is, or what Iran was under the Shah to what Iran is now, or what so many different countries.
Things can always get worse. I agree.
Things can get a lot worse. And the fact is, if they do get worse, the first people who are going to be shot are the Jews. And so it may be a bit of self-preservation here, But I think we need to take seriously, why did millions of Americans vote for Donald Trump? And they did it because they were saying very loudly, fuck you. I don't swear very often because I use my swear words when I need to.
Okay.
And so when something like that happens, what I was hoping for and what I have been hoping for the past 8 years is that maybe the Democratic Party would have a bit of self-reflection. But no, it's the Republicans. It's all their fault. It's all their fault. They're racist, they're sexist, they're deplorables, they're horrible, they're da-da-da-da-da-da. And now it looks like we're going to have Vice President J.D. Vance, and people still don't want to read Hillbilly Elegy. And if you read Hillbilly Elegy, which I think I have around here, although I haven't actually read it.
I watched the movie. My wife and I watched most of the movie. I don't think we finished it yet, but we watched most of the movie.
I didn't watch it. J.D. Vance is not some racist. And
He did call Trump a Nazi. Isn't that weird?
in 2016, he did, yes.
I don't remember if he called him Hitler or just a Nazi.
No,
one or the other.
I forget what exactly it was, but it doesn't matter. Look, you don't have to convince me that Donald Trump is not who I want as president of the United States. There's a reason, however, why I own a MAGA hat. Because 8 years after he won, we still live in a society. Tucker Carlson explained this so well. The Democrats are literally saying, in order to save democracy, we have to vote for somebody who has received 0 votes in this election.
Well, no, that's not true. Because it was the Biden-Harris campaign. That's a bogus argument.
Is it, Mark? Really?
Yes.
You vote when people voted in the primaries for president, they voted for Kamala Harris?
Democrats. These were Democrats.
Yeah, and they voted
so
for
don't
Kamala
get
Harris?
too worked up over how the Democrats. If you're not a Democrat,
No.
don't get too worked up over how Democrats conduct their
Really? Then
selection
first of
process.
all, Mark, I have to say, you are the one who changed.
I
your
voted for
party
Nikki Haley.
registration.
I voted for Nikki Haley.
Exactly. You changed your party registration.
Mm-hmm.
How worked up were you about about perverting the Republican?
No, actually, that was a sincere vote because I was prepared. No, when I did it, I was prepared to vote for in the general.
But you're not a Republican.
I don't have to. In the United States, you don't. Its registration doesn't work. At least in California, it doesn't work that way. It's not a
I
lifetime
know
commitment.
registration doesn't work that way, but people, the way the primary system is supposed to work is people from their own party get to choose their representative, and then that representative in the general election comes before the entire body. That's why we have a party system, and that party system has been completely subverted by the Democrats over the past 50 years, I have to say.
Subverted how?
They've been playing there's a reason why Republicans are constantly complaining of rhinos. Republicans in name only. The Democrats very smart, intelligently have been doing what no Republican ever imagined doing, which is manipulating the Republican primaries for decades. Which is why part of the reason why Republicans don't trust their own candidates, and part of the reason why Donald
It
Trump.
really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. The popularity of Kamala Harris is being demonstrated even as we speak. It's within the Democratic Party, within loyal Democrats. It's so Tucker's crocodile tears are just more of the same, more posturing, and
Mark, you don't actually believe that it would be nice if the Democrats could have a primary where Democrats democratically chose their the person they want to be.
They're voting with their dollars. She raised $100 million in small
I
donations.
think that's democratic. That's democracy for you.
In this situation, it is what it is. It's if they're operating within their rules, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. I'm sure if they want to open it up into some kind of have some sort of snap election. I don't know how you do it technically across 50 states, but I don't care. What do I care? Like I said, I'm really not here to.
I have to say, you are incredibly loyal and very willing to always defend everything Democrats ever do as being completely right, and Democrats could never improve anything, apparently. It could not be better.
No, tell me how you do it. How do they do it?
Well, how about this? Instead of lying constantly about Biden's position.
Who's lying? Lying about what?
About Biden being way too old and incapable of running for president again. This has been obvious for years.
It didn't become obvious to most Democrats until that last performance where they felt like he wasn't now, what was he just experiencing some sort of speech impediment as a result of aging, or whether it's full on dementia? I'm not qualified to judge. I don't. He seems to. Whatever. I don't care. It's not. He's been driven. He's been driven by whatever circumstances, by whatever voices, to withdraw his candidacy. It goes to his running mate. He handed it off to his running mate. He's handed off his organization to his running mate. And it's fine. Whatever. What do I care?
Allow me to give you an alternative.
But what did they mess up on exactly, Tyle? What could they have done differently?
Okay.
Tell me.
Allow me to give you a different narrative of how the Democrats have been functioning. In 2016, they cheated Bernie Sanders from the nomination. In 2020, they cheated Bernie Sanders from the nomination by engineering.
Okay, I supported Bernie in both times.
Allow me to give my explanation. Right. By engineering Joe Biden becoming the nominee. And then they decided that, oh, you know what? If we get through the primary season with Joe Biden, and then we suddenly agree with what the Republicans have been saying for months, which is for years actually, that that Biden isn't qualified, we, the party leaders, can force him to not run, and if necessary, we can pull the 25th Amendment on him, and we can select our party nominee without any Democratic input whatsoever. And that narrative is precisely how I believe the Democratic Party functions.
Okay. Do you want me to respond or not?
What?
All right. I was involved in 2016 not up to my neck, but I was involved. I was active for Bernie. And that race was lost in April with Super Tuesday. All right. I knew it. Anybody who could do the math knew it. It was done. and there was no coming back from it.
Did you read her emails?
Yes, I've read some of them, although don't ask me to recall any of them in detail.
And
At the time I read. Yes.
Donna
Oh,
Brazil said that Bernie was cheated. She's not a Republican.
no, and Donna Brazil is far from a saint.
I didn't say she was a saint either. Would it have been
Was he
nice?
cheated? He was cheated. Under the rules, as I recall, super delegates could vote on the first round, could they not?
I believe so, yes.
And that's why, and so that drove after Super Tuesday to super delegates were not relevant, but that made it. The super delegates were the nails in the coffin. I mean, but Super Tuesday, he had enough, or she had enough. The momentum was such that she had enough of non-super delegates, whatever you call them, regular delegates, whatever. Normal delegates to solidify the nomination.
Donna Brazil's whole point was that the DNC, during the primary, was deliberately engineering things for Hillary to win.
Oh, there's no question about that. I agree. No question. I wouldn't argue that.
So that's
she had the chairman. Wrong. She had the chairman of the party was in her hip pocket. No question.
Okay, so no question. We can agree.
But the numbers are the numbers.
Party is not the party of democracy.
Democracy in America. Yeah, we're not a pure democracy, and we don't function very democratic. But yes, I get it. We always find ways to subvert pure democracy in this country. We have from the beginning. Yes.
I don't believe in pure democracy. There's a reason.
Neither did the founders, and neither does most of America. Even though most Americans think we live in a democracy, it's yes, we don't. But okay, but then because of that event, because of the way the superdelegates were handled, Bernie, because of his performance, success, and the increased number of progressive delegates that made it into the convention, they changed the rules for 2020. Okay, so 2016 superdelegates could vote in the first round. 2020 superdelegates could not. And the rules were changed in such a way to actually make it easier for Bernie to have performed better. Okay, so but what happened in 2020? He did not perform actually as well. He underperformed compared to what his 2016 run was. Even though the rules of that year were essentially his rules. Does that help the Bernie? And I supported him in 2020. But again, you look at it and you say, he couldn't win under the old rules. He did even worse under his rules. Is democracy subverted?
I would really like to see. I told the Democrats, if Andrew Yang even got a fair shake, or Tulsi Gabbard got a fair shake in the Democratic Party, there's a lot wrong with our political system that I think if we were able to have actual discussions, and the fact is that the internet is making it possible for people to have discussions, which the mainstream Democrats who rule everything do not want to allow. And that's what happened in 2020, was the heavy-handed censorship. And in 2024, they can't do that because Elon Musk bought X. And what's going to happen is that the internet is going to make the heavy-handed backroom politics, elite Washington types who are ruling so much, like Nancy Pelosi, end up having to retire because they cannot control things the way they did 40 or 60 years ago. And that is actually going back to why boomers destroyed with facts and logic. The fact is that the young people are tired of Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi.
Well, Nancy's out, man.
Nancy obviously still rules the
No, she's the matriarch. There's no question she's the
much
matriarch.
Better. She's the one who told Biden he has to stop running.
Well, she played a role, no question. Did she make? I'll tell you what. Let's close this out on a friendly note. I'll bet you two things.
Yeah, what?
Say a dinner or something.
Dinner's good.
We'll bet you a dinner out somewhere, wherever you want. Well, within reason. We got to put a cap on the check. LA can get real expensive.
You can take me to Outback Steakhouse and buy me a steak.
All right. That's still expensive, but yes, I can afford that. Two things. Yeah. Which one do you want? We could make it pick one. You can choose it. Kamala Harris wins the election.
Okay.
Okay, let's make it both things because they kind of go hand in hand to your thesis. Kamala Harris wins the election, and the Republic, and she is inaugurated without the Republic breaking down into civil war. Is that too tight of is that too narrow of a timeline? How long does it take for this to break down into civil war?
Okay, so what I have said quite clearly over and over again is, in fact, I'll just read what I wrote on my Discord server. Let me find where I last used the word idiots on my Discord server. There we go. Anyone who claims they know how this is going to play out is an idiot.
We're just betting. We're just having fun. We're betting on a steak dinner. So do you want to bet on both things or just want to bet on Kamala? Do you want to make it really simple?
Look, I have no idea if Kamala Harris or Donald Trump is going to win. And I am 100% sure that regardless of which one wins, we're not going to have a civil war anytime soon.
Oh, so we agree.
We agree that we're not going to have a civil war, hopefully within the next year, certainly not because of the results of an election. The assassination, if Donald Trump had been assassinated, that's a very different thing. And if the Secret Service, the leader of the Secret Service resigned because she was.
Oh, that's some seriously to use expletive deleted stuff. No.
Yeah.
That whole there's still more to come out. We're gonna have to learn more. We need to find out what failed there. No question.
And can we agree that diversity, equity, and inclusion hires, affirmative action hires, like Kamala Harris, are part of the problem?
No. That's okay. Was that what? Say that again.
Affirmative action hires, hiring people not because
she's not.
They're competent, but hiring people because they're women and black.
You know how people? Okay, you know how Democrats are hearing that because that's going around right now. It's a meme. It's what people are saying in lieu of the N-word.
Sexism all they want. If you hire someone specifically because they're a man, you are a sexist. If you hire someone specifically because they are a woman, you are a sexist. If you hire someone specifically because they are white, you are a racist. And if
Didn't-
you hire someone specifically because they are black, you are
Hold
a
on.
racist.
Didn't Kamala? Let's try to end this on a positive note. Didn't
Okay.
Kamala wasn't start her political career out as DA of San Francisco, as a county or city?
She started her career as a whore.
No. Okay. I'm done. No. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
It's not true. No, it's
It
not.
is.
Jacob.
She was still in law school.
What does your Bible tell you about bearing false witness? You don't know any of that thing.
Yeah, there's no false witness there. My
You
Bible
witnessed to nothing.
says Rahab was a whore. That's what my Bible says.
And it also tells you not to
Say false things.
slander
I did not
people.
say
That you
anything
can't.
false.
You can't.
Kamala
That's not.
Harris started her career as a whore.
All right. I try to end it on a positive note. I try to give you a chance. We can be civilized or we can act like assholes, and that's just not right.
Mark,
It's not right.
Facts
There are no facts. You have no facts.
There are no facts.
You have no facts.
I have zero facts.
Not on that point.
Look it up.
Present it.
Look it up.
I have no interest in winding up with Pornhub links or whatever pops up when you pipe that stuff in there.
Oh, come on. Her relationship with Willie Brown is well known. Everybody knows what her relationship with Willie Brown was, how she ended up in politics, who Willie Brown was.
My point was when she started out, I think her first elected office was district attorney.
Which
or
Willie
attorney
Brown
general
got
or
for
something
her.
like that.
Which Willie Brown got for her in exchange for sex.
I'm aware of the allegation. I am aware of no evidence that there was any of the quid pro quo you're alluding to. Okay.
Nobody denies it, Mark.
Nobody. Except every Democrat I know of, and most women who hear that take profound offense.
Every Democrat I know of is trying to spin it as, hey,
say something like that to my wife. She might not. You'd be lucky if you got away with a face slap. Okay, and that's a lot of women just like her. Don't say things like that. It's just no point to it. It's just not. It's no. I don't say that. I don't say these things about. I've heard similar things said about Trump women, and I don't.
He married his wives because they're so smart. Come on.
I don't engage in trashing people's reputations without understanding them as people, and even if I do think lowly of them or poorly of them, I just don't do it. I prefer to not eat shit,
Mark,
with my words. Okay,
there is a level of honesty.
San Francisco, let me go back to my point. San Francisco most recently has had very bad district attorneys. Kamala was not one of them. California has had some mediocre to fairly poor senators. Kamala was not one of them. She was elected with Joe Biden as vice president. From what I can tell, she's done a reasonably good job at it, and she's shown herself to be politically adept enough and good enough at the job to get the support of her boss for his job. Her first 72 hours as the presumptive candidate of the party has been pitch perfect. She's going to win this election. I think that's. I'll bet the steak dinner on that point.
I don't know who's going to win this election, but
okay.
I would.
Okay. Well, I have the courage of convictions.
I'll bet a steak dinner because I'm perfectly willing to lose, and I genuinely actually think I would win.
Good. That
But,
makes it interesting.
yeah. But, I mean, ultimately...
And you'll be safe. I will happily, listen to me. When Trump was talking about the very first, in the early months of his administration, and Steve Bannon and the crew were talking about Muslim bans, and they were, you remember all those good days around the protests around the airport and whatnot?
Yes.
I told my wife, hey, if they start seriously throwing out, deporting nationalized Americans of the Muslim faith, I'm going to become a Muslim.
I said the
Okay.
exact same thing.
Listen to me. If they did the same thing to Jews, I'd become a Jew in a heartbeat. I will stand in solidarity against any brutality. And I'm glad you said that, because it means we are capable of being of one mind.
Mark,
I'll put my neck out there for you.
I wasn't even joking about that. My passport still says born in Iran.
That's true.
Right? So, like, the fact is, honestly, I think
I wasn't joking about it either, by the way.
we are much closer in values than what the disagreements show. But I think part of that is that we are operating with different facts. And we shouldn't be operating in different facts. You are entitled to your own opinion. You are not entitled to your own facts. I'm talking to myself. I am not entitled to my own facts. Right?
Right. And
the fact we live in a situation where we are disagreeing about facts is itself the biggest indicator of the problem that we have right now.
All I'm asking is that we vet our facts more aggressively. I'm willing to if I assert something as a fact, you can pretty much, I'm going to say such and such is a fact. You can pretty much sit your ass on it like it's a chair. It's going to be rock solid.
I would like to say the exact same thing.
Now, then there are things, so there's different levels of knowledge. Then there are things that maybe I have assumptions or biases that aren't based in fact, and hopefully I'm not resting on those as necessarily reliable.
100%.
So where we seem to differ is the aggressiveness with which you're willing to assert what you think of as facts that I'm not willing to go with you on some of these things. You draw conclusions about sets of what you think of as facts and say this is factually correct. This is factually true. Kamala is what you call her. Yeah. I don't go there. I don't think you have enough reliable data that you're assuming, and you're trying to get behind closed doors and going back traveling time, because Willie Brown. You know how long ago Willie Brown was now?
Yes, Mark, but I mean,
I'm just saying. I'm not.
Mark,
let's try to agree.
Okay. I highly recommend you look at the facts of the situation, and that it not be.
I'll look into the Willie Brown thing.
What did Max say? Non-judgmental and kindness is the peak of boomer virtues, and that is what Michael Sartori was talking about.
Or maybe it's just age. That's just.
You can't say anything not nice about Kamala Harris.
Oh, I did back in the day when my candidate was running against her. I was not crazy about Kamala Harris. I'll tell you what. Okay, here, you want me to tell you what I don't like about Kamala? Or I don't know about this Kamala. Keep in mind, I've not paid any attention to Kamala in close to 4 years. Well, 4 years, because she didn't even make it to the first primary.
Correct. Nobody liked her.
Okay. She was she ran a piss poor campaign.
Yeah. Do you remember this quote? It was a debate.
I don't remember the
You have
quote.
not been listening to the right wing talking points against Kamala.
No, I don't listen to right wing talking points.
Yeah, I know. You only listen to left wing talking points.
No, but no, I listen. No, that's not true. That's not true. I listen to right wing talking points. I listen to. My wife tells me I listen to too many right wing talking points.
I'm sure.
It concerns her. It concerns her. It would concern her that I talk to you in Grizz probably too much.
That concerns me. I think we should be talking to more people.
I agree. That's why I'm here.
And that's why I'm glad you're here.
She's not. Back to Kamala. Kamala 2020. Kamala in 2020 was not a great candidate. She seemed forced. She foolishly put her sister in charge of. Tulsi's a hot mess, by the way. If you want to get into Tulsi someday, we can talk. We can talk Tulsi. Well, which Tulsi do you like? Do you like the Tulsi who endorsed Bernie, was the first one out the gate to endorse Bernie? Or do you like the Tulsi who's now the Fox News talking head? I don't know.
I like the Tulsi who actually has always had integrity.
I wish I believed Tulsi had integrity. When I first saw Tulsi with Bernie, I thought we had it flipped around. I thought she had nothing but potential, and maybe it is her concept of integrity, that she cannot be politic enough to understand how political power works in the United States and within the parties, that she could not use that innate talent and ability, and she had real left-wing creds. She could have been a contender, and she's wrecked it.
I still think she is a contender because she has always had integrity. She hasn't played these types of games, and that is why she has always acted with integrity regardless of the games. I was very, very happy when she refused to impeach Donald Trump. That when she voted present on the impeachment.
Look, you know how many presidents I would have impeached? Guess which presidents I would have voted to impeach?
Every single one.
I would have impeached. Let's see. Let's only go back to Clinton. Impeach.
I would have impeached him, yes.
Who followed Clinton?
Bush.
Impeach.
Obama.
Who followed Bush?
Obama.
Impeach. Who followed Obama?
Trump.
Impeach.
Biden.
The only one I wouldn't impeach, but I would have probably pulled the trigger on the 25th Amendment. And I can tell you specifically why for each one of them.
I know, but like the fact is.
But I'm too radical.
Well, but there's still a level of integrity. If you do what Susan Estridge in one of my classes, you know Susan Estridge?
I know the name and I can't remember specifics.
I took one of her classes. She was the campaign manager for Dukakis. And she in class, she admitted that they defended Clinton during the impeachment. Defended the indefensible, she called it. And I prefer people who have the integrity, who say, I thought Tulsi Gabbard not voting to impeach Trump was the correct move. As a Democrat.
Well, see, there's two questions there. now I said who I would impeach based on if I really had my way, if I could have voted on such a thing.
Mhm.
Then there's the question of what's really politic and what's really good for the country. Americans are by nature they expect their presidents and their politicians to be rascals and rogues. I think and so they have a level of tolerance that they'll put up with a lot of real scoundrel behavior in their presidents. That's why I think they knew it. They knew what Nixon was in 1960. And they chose Kennedy over him, probably by a very fine margin, by the way. So close that it's very possibly that of any of the elections that anybody got robbed of, it was very probably Nixon.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And Lyndon Johnson, out of everyone involved in that election, the real bastard was Lyndon Johnson. And he's the one who put the bastard Jack Kennedy into power. And America loved Jack. And America loved Jack because he was a rogue. And they almost loved Nixon, or did love Nixon just as much. And he's a rogue. And we'll put up with a lot. See, I'm a recovering Puritan. I was really sincere. When Obama would not prosecute the torturers in the CIA, he lost me. But I'm saying I'm a recovering Puritan. That is to say, all that Puritanism is not politically successful in the United States, and it's probably not even good for the United States. The American people are wiser than I was. They didn't want Clinton impeached, and they probably didn't even want Trump impeached.
Well, I'm pretty sure they didn't want Trump impeached. Okay, you know what? It's getting late. Let's leave this discussion here.
Put a pin in it. I know this is what happens, Jacob. You keep me up, and then I got to get up at some god awful time in the morning, and you're just like a bad addiction. I don't know. This is probably not healthy.
Probably not. Yeah.
But I don't feel quite as bad as I did earlier. So.
Good night.
Good night.